So, what we've talked about today is then having your staff know how to assess the situation, implement your remedial response. You've started your communication both within your immediate tree, and we've now talked about managing the media. And we should now be within the first 24 hours of the event. The initial interest from media has started to die down. You've had information go down through your channel and come back through your channel, and it's now a time for you to bring your team back together after your initial meeting and say, where are we? What's the current situation? Who's where? And who is starting to take responsibility for taking our business into the recovery phase of the cycle? So your immediate pressure might be off, but this is the time to start documenting exactly what's happened. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about insurance in a few minutes, and this is the time when you really need to make sure that somebody has been keeping a relatively active event log of what has occurred. Even if it is done post, it is better to have done it on the day than to be looking at it weeks and weeks later, trying to work out what came in what order. And there's an event log template in your kit here. I'd encourage you to put that in your go pack with a pen and make sure that somebody in your team is starting to jot down some of the key things that happened in the order that they happened in. It could be the difference between a quick insurance claim and a very slow one, or if it is a legal situation, it could really take the pressure off you. You also want to make sure that you're in a position to be photographing and videoing as much as you can, capturing as much evidence of the event as humanly possible. So the evaluation time is a chance for you to bring your core back together, your 5 people, and find out what's happening out on the ground, how everyone's going, what needs to be done next, getting ready for the next day, whether that be clean-up day or support day or starting to recover day, and that'll depend on the size of the event. So your event log template is there. And then within the first 36 hours, your core management team need to do a re-evaluation of where you stand. Is our business going to continue as it was? Are we asking for it to continue as it was? Or is this an opportunity for us to look at our business in a different way? Are we going to expand? Are we going to move into a diversified model? Are we moving into different markets? Are we going to rebuild that property just as it was? Or are we going to move into a different part of the business? So your team needs to start to think about this, and that's where crisis management and business management come together. At all points today, we've talked about the marriage between your business plan and your crisis plan, and this is where they really come together. You need to understand what part of your business you're going to run through with and how you start to recover. I want you just to write down the 3 things that your business needs to operate. What is it that you need? And if one of those was taken away, how would you go about getting it back quickly and efficiently? So, on the plan, there's a couple of spaces. There's a whole page on page 23 to write down critical business activities. So in Colleen's position, yes, you need a boat, yes, you need a skipper, and we also need to be able to get people on or off the vessel, or we need fuel, or we need telecommunications. There's lots of things that you need. Simply identify 3 for me, 1 in each row, and then for one of those, work through the process of, so how do I keep it if I've lost it? How do I get it back? What preventative actions can I take? Who's going to be responsible for those? And what resources am I going to need to get them up and going again? So I talked earlier about the Miramar situation. That wasn't a cost expense. That was just a matter of making some phone calls and working through the process of an alternative. So identify 3 things that your business needs: telephone, staff, cash, and how you'll go about getting them if through the crisis event that you've been planning for, those aren't available to you. Look, we've come to the end of the formal part of the program. As I said from the outset, our contact details are there. Stay in touch with us. Do pass this knowledge on to other people. Stay in touch with each other. And, as I said, try and be an ambassador for the idea of good risk management within the sector that you work in. So work with the other people in the peninsula, work with other people in your sector to try and help them to make sure that they've done a little bit of thinking about this, because it will have benefits for your business in the long term. What we've covered off on today then is understanding your business, making sure that you've done your risk assessment, you've got your immediate emergency plan together, the Ghostbuster, who am I going to call? We're now in a situation that you've got a core responsibilities of a response team, and you're going to send out to them the roles that you expect them to play in a crisis situation. Not everyone will jump at the opportunity, as we've talked about, so make sure that you have that discussion with them, be sure they're comfortable with it, and if they're not, then you give those responsibilities to somebody else who can do them for you. In the event of the emergency response, making sure that you have the right first aid practices, you have your go pack in place, and that you can get everyone to safety before you start talking about dealing with the media. Identify your media spokesperson, let them know that your media spokesperson, and make sure that they've had some level of training. Potentially Callie could provide some media training for anyone who was a little short on experience, as long as they run a cheese factory. You've got an opportunity then to keep going with your recovery plan. It doesn't need to be war and peace, but what it needs to do is articulate what are you going to do to get your business back up to business as usual as quickly as possible. There's no use documenting all the things you already know unless the other people in your business don't know that. I want you to spend the time digging in with your team about the things you're not sure that you know how to handle and how you're going to go about handling those to shorten that response and recovery time. Talk to your broker, please talk to your broker or your insurer and have a think about where your cash flow is coming from. And just like any crisis situation, it is all about practice, practice, practice. So we've covered off on lots of things today. There's a little checklist here of things that you need to do next. So look, I thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure working with each and every one of you. Stay in touch with us. My details are here. Love to hear from you again. And do pass the knowledge on to anyone else who's out there. So thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure working with you, and we'll see you soon.